All right, well that is it for the manual Toyota Supra. Never thought I'd be saying this, but I just traded it in for a Honda Civic. I'm not a Honda person, quite honestly, and never thought I'd be trading the Supra for a Civic, but it's not your ordinary Civic. I went ahead and tried something a little different, the Civic Type-R. So I have a lot of interesting reasons in today's video, as we will go over, so bear with me for all of our Supra owner viewers. Manual Supra to the new Honda Civic Type-R. And just like that, heading out in the Type-R, and one last look at the Supra. I have good reasons why I decided to trade it in for something else, so we're gonna talk about all of that on the drive home. So money is one of them, and also use is a big other one. So hopefully our Supra fans are not too upset. We're still gonna support the Supra, of course, on our website, and of course I have so much content over the several years I've had Supras for y'all to check out if you're new to the channel. But Honda Civic Type-R, something I've always liked. I'm not a Honda fan, like I said, but I've always liked the Type-R. And yeah, pretty crazy. But let's head somewhere, because we're gonna talk about money first, why I decided to buy something a little bit cheaper. Because honestly, my wife and I have some other things we're working on other than cars. Already this car is pretty cool. But one of the biggest things, I'm gonna take you to an undisclosed area shortly. My wife and I bought something earlier in the year, and I kind of figured if I could tone down the Supra a little bit, that would really help us out to where we can do something we've always wanted to do. So with pricing, the manual Supras, they hold their values really well. They're going for good money right now. They're all listed for over 60 grand on the used and new market. So mine with very low mileage, a couple thousand miles over the course of almost 2 years of ownership. I mean, got top dollar for it, even with trading it in. Normally I don't trade in cars. Normally I can sign it with my friend's dealership and make the most money out of it. However, with the tax savings and a few other incentives like that, and the pricing of this car, honestly, I don't think I left much money on the table, if anything. So it kind of made sense to just trade it in. This car is actually pretty cool. So this is a 2024 model year with like 2,000 miles. And the MSRP of this car is closer to 47. I paid 45. So I actually got a really good price on this barely used Type-R. And looking at the market, there's really not many new ones. The one new one that was coming to my local Honda dealer was gonna be like $49,000. And the used ones that I found were 2023s with over 8,000 miles for 47. So I feel like given this was a lot less than the competition that was out there under its original MSRP, I feel like this was a really good buy. And when you look at cars like this, like the manual Supra, while the car market has changed quite a lot in the last 4 years where it's not as crazy, this car is still going for about sticker on the used market, same with the manual Supra. So I got this for a couple grand less than that, and the Supra a couple grand less than what I could have got out of it had I retailed it. So I think it was kind of a wash to where trading in definitely made a lot of sense. So with that said, the 15 grand difference basically eliminated the loan on the Supra, getting us one step closer to being debt free, because my wife and I have a really big project coming up, and eliminating debt is our goal right now. So why are we talking about eliminating some debt? As you know, the Lamborghini was my all-time childhood dream car, my biggest financial goal, honestly, for the last 20 years. My wife's biggest goal is this, building and designing her own home. I've achieved my car, so our biggest goal right now is to make that happen, and we want to build our next home. So we bought some property, and selling the Supra for the Type-R like I did takes that car payment away, and it makes us recoup from buying this land so much quicker to make this a heck of a lot quicker in time from when we can actually start building the next house. But in the future, the house is gonna be sitting right around here, and then obviously the driveway will go right up to those pink stakes if you can see them. And one of the biggest things that I'm excited about, you know, doing YouTube as a full-time job, I work out of my garage and driveway about 50% of my days. My current garage is great, 360 square feet. What we are designing, it's gonna be about a 1,200 square foot garage. So basically a 4-car garage, plenty of room to put 4 to 5 cars with a lift, whatever I need to do. And we're gonna have the space for that. And obviously on the personal side, a little bit bigger house, not really much bigger than our current house, honestly, we're not after that. But custom designed everything my wife wants. She loves this stuff. I drew cars as a kid, she drew houses as a kid. So that's kind of our next big project. We bought the land right when I was putting the Supra back to stock earlier in the year. Some of you may remember that video, and I put the car back to stock because I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep the car long term or what I was gonna do. And after some thinking over the last 6 months, I thought just getting a car that would basically wipe the deck clear, still give me a fun toy for YouTube, would get us to the goal of building. So that's kind of one of the biggest reasons. And now we are in better shape. And the thing I'm really excited about, the garage will be right here facing this way. And as you can tell, there are acres and acres of nothingness. There's no building in the whole 5 acres to the left of us. So I'm gonna have so much more privacy to film. Again, I do this for a living. So working in my garage and driveway, I'll have the space to do a lot more than what I've been able to do. So let's head to current house and talk about another reason why this just made a lot of sense as I hike up out of the property. First video now filmed at the new lot. And there is the Type-R. That's so weird. I bought one of these cars. So under my first driving with the Type-R, I gotta say this thing's actually pretty fun. It handles really good. The manual is a blast to go through the gears. It's got some good get up and go. I think it's like 315 horsepower or something like that. But this thing's pretty peppy to drive. The handling is so sharp, suspension's nice and stiff. This thing is definitely a blast. I don't think it's a crazy downgrade. Obviously the Supra is a step up in car, obviously, but this car, I've been smiling. I've never driven the new one. I've only driven the old one. I've been in a couple of them. But under my initial impression, this thing is actually a lot of fun. And I figured at this price point, I don't think there's really anything else I could have thought of for 45 grand that would be this fun. Got the bucket seats, the manual transmission, the turbo. So this is gonna be a good car, I think, for content as well as our website. I think there's a lot of great parts that we already have access to that I'm gonna be able to put on this car and showcase. So I think this should be a pretty good car in general for business use as well. And of course on the personal side, which we'll get to in a second, I think it's gonna kind of be what I was looking for. I don't think there's another $45,000 sporty 4-door car I could have picked. So comment below, what do you think else is there? I don't really think there's much. I still love the Supra, like don't get me wrong, I love the Supra, and if they do come out with a special edition one in like a year or two, maybe the final model year, you know, I'm not against buying that. So no hate on the Supra, nothing but love on that car. It's so good. So you know how I said I'm not the biggest Honda fan? I think in general they're fine cars. However, my wife and I have a running joke every single time we are stuck behind a car going slow. It is a Honda. Thankfully they are turning, but no joke, 9 out of 10 times a slow car is in front of me going under the speed limit, it's a Honda driver. I doubt it's a Type-R driver, but it is always a Honda. And then at the house now with the Type-R, the next point is use and practicality. So one thing I found ever since I bought the Lambo, which was about 10 months ago, I really don't need 2 cars that are 2-door, 2-seaters, somewhat impractical cars. And again, no hate on the Supra, but nearly 10 times out of 10, if I'm taking an impractical 2-door, 2-seater, I pick the Lambo over the Supra. I love this car, this is my baby. I mean, I spent 18 years working towards this car, I love it. So I drive this a lot. I've owned this for 10 months. I've driven it over 3,000 miles. We've owned the RS3 for 10 months, put over 3,000 miles on it as well. The Supra had less than 3,000 in 22 months. So almost 2 years. Technically, that's half the mileage of these 2 cars. On top of that, you know, we have a press car every week, a different one every week to test out for content and things like that. So I just didn't find myself driving the Supra that much. Year number 1, I put over 2,000 miles on that car. A lot of content, a lot of footage. Year number 2, I put about 500 miles. So in this year, 2024, I've driven the Supra like 500 miles. I filmed, I think, 3 videos total with the car. So it just hasn't been something I've been using, mainly because when we want to have some extra fun, we take this. When we still want the fun, of course, but we need the practicality, we take the RS3. And the Supra just wasn't really finding that spot since there wasn't much more for me to film on the car. Now with the Type-R, the cool thing is this car is a hatchback. It has a huge trunk in here. You can of course pop this and pull these seats down. And of course the seats are in the way, but look at all this space. I've never owned anything other than 2-doored cars. So, I mean, technically the Audis, but those are more of my wife's car. but for me, I've only ever owned two-door cars. This thing is like an SUV in here, kind of a mini version. Being a hatchback, I could fit 2 bicycles in here. I mean, I could fit anything I need. So having a car that is now extremely practical, much more than the RS3 even, just kind of made a lot of sense. And I feel like now we will be driving this car a lot more, not only for YouTube purposes. The Supra, realistically, 95% of my driving was strictly for YouTube content. Like I said, I just wasn't using it for a normal car. This is my baby that I drive a lot. I honestly daily drive this quite a lot. And then this is the practical car. So to have something that is still a heck of a lot of fun, but now ultra practical, you know, as we do home projects at this house, start working on the next house, you know, this is something that I can load up in the trunk with bags of cement, bags of rocks, like whatever I need to do. And given it's not that expensive of a car, I won't feel that bad putting dirty stuff in the trunk versus putting it in the RS3. So I feel like this was that happy medium to kind of get a utility vehicle, but also a sporty vehicle at the same time. But then again, it does look really cool, and I think it looks nice with these cars. We got the white with the red accents, white with the red accents, and then the bright blue with the red accents. So this is kind of like the next step up in sizing practicality, and it's gonna give me the thing that I was missing with the Supra. So I think that is about it. Gonna wrap up today's video. That is why I decided to trade the manual Supra for the Honda Civic Type-R. Made a lot of sense financially to get us one step closer to building our dream home, and it gives us a car that is much more usable and something that I'll actually be driving other than just YouTube, since it is more capable than the other cars. And with that, now we have a really good blend of 3 different cars that are all very different. The Supra was competing with the Lambo for me personally, and obviously, I know it sounds ridiculous, obviously the Lambo is going to win every time for me just because that's my dream car. But nonetheless, I'm excited to check this car out. It's been fun cruising around in it just today now. It's been a couple hours with it. Doesn't quite feel real. Like I said, I've never owned a 4-door car. I've only ever bought coupes. But I'm excited to see what this car is all about. The mod potential, things like that, and just kind of get into this. I don't remember if it's an FL5 or an FK8. Those are the 2 generations we have here in the US. The previous gen was a cool car. I think this styling is a lot better. I think it's more my taste, a little bit more grown up looking. So I'm excited for it. But comment below, what do you guys think of the new car for the channel? Sorry to see the Supra go. I love the car, but personal goals are always going to top the car goals. I got the car, it's time for the house. So the Civic Type-R just kind of made a lot of sense in the meantime, and I'm gonna have some fun with it. Anyways, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. We still have plenty of Supra content and parts on our website, so we're still supporting the car perfectly fine, but on to adding a new addition to test out and see what this thing is all about. I'll see you guys in the next video.